Welcome back to Epic Insights. We're continuing our deep dive into Rama, Lakshmana, and Hanuman, brothers in arms, Srinivas's retelling of the Ramayana.
Yeah, picking up with chapter 4 this time.
Exactly, and this chapter introduces some really intriguing new characters.
It does.
Sugreeva, Hanuman, and Vali. You know, in the previous episodes, we followed Rama and Lakshmana through exile and the loss of Sita.
Right.
And now they're in the Rishyamukha Mountains, seeking help from Sugreeva, who's in exile himself. But Sugreeva's initial reaction? Total fear and suspicion. Well, yeah, I mean, think about it.
Right.
He's been betrayed and overthrown by his own brother, Vali. He's living in fear.
Right.
And then suddenly these two powerful warriors just show up.
Yeah,
It's understandable why he'd think they're assassins sent by Vali.
absolutely. So that's where Hanuman enters the scene.
Right.
He's Sugreeva's chief minister.
Yeah.
And his response is fascinating. Instead of panicking, he takes a very strategic approach. Kata describes his thought process as analyzing the situation.
Understanding the potential threat and really carefully planning his actions.
I love how Kata uses those Sanskrit terms to describe Hanuman's approach,
Yeah.
Alochana, Avagahana, and Acharana.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's a framework for strategic thinking that's so relevant even today. You know, think of it as like,
Yeah.
analyze the problem, understand the situation,
Yeah.
and then act.
It's a leadership lesson from thousands of years ago.
Oh, no.
It's really amazing. And then Hanuman, he puts this into practice in a really fascinating way. He disguises himself as an ascetic to approach Rama and Lakshmana.
Brilliant tactic, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because he understands people are less likely to lie to a holy figure, and so he uses his knowledge of human behavior
Right.
to gain that strategic advantage.
It's clever.
Yeah.
And notice how Kata really emphasizes Hanuman's eloquence,
Uh-huh.
his mastery of language and the Vedic scriptures.
Yes.
It's a reminder that in ancient India, education and communication skills, they were highly valued.
Oh, absolutely, especially for those in leadership positions.
Exactly.
And Hanuman's ability to communicate effectively, I mean, that is key to building trust with Rama.
Exactly.
He uses his words so carefully, choosing them strategically to convey respect and his understanding of Rama's character.
And speaking of interesting characters, this origin story of Sugreeva and Vali
Oh my gosh.
that
Yeah,
Kata shares is pretty wild.
it is.
Their father transforms into a woman after entering a mystical pond.
A mystical pond.
Right.
Well-
It's not your typical family drama.
It's such a striking tale, and it gives us a glimpse into ancient Indian views on gender fluidity.
Yes.
You know, it really challenges our modern assumptions about these concepts.
Exactly.
It reminds us that gender identity has always been this complex and multifaceted aspect of human experience.
Absolutely. It definitely makes you rethink those historical narratives we often take for granted. So now we've got Hanuman disguised as this ascetic approaching Rama and Lakshmana. What happens next?
Well, he doesn't immediately reveal his true identity. Instead, he engages them in a conversation, kind of subtly assessing their character, their intentions.
Oh, smart.
Right. He's gathering information, testing the waters before fully committing himself.
That's like due diligence before entering into a partnership.
Yes.
He's being so cautious and strategic.
Exactly. And this highlights another important leadership quality: discernment. You know, Hanuman is carefully evaluating Rama and Lakshmana, trying to determine if they are truly trustworthy allies.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and it's a reminder that choosing the right partners is crucial,
Right.
you know, for success, whether in ancient battles or even modern business ventures.
Oh, absolutely.
It applies to everything.
Yeah, so Hanuman, impressed by Rama's integrity and strength, he finally reveals himself and tells them about Sugriva's plight.
Such a pivotal moment.
It is.
Because Hanuman has analyzed the situation, he's understood the players involved,
Right.
and he's decided to trust Rama.
Yeah, it's the beginning of this powerful alliance,
Is
but one that's built on a foundation of careful observation and strategic decision-making.
Yes.
What's interesting, too, is how Rama reacts to Hanuman's initial deception. He doesn't get angry or offended.
Right.
He seems to respect Hanuman's intelligence and strategic thinking.
Absolutely. Rama recognizes that Hanuman's actions were driven by prudence
Yeah.
and a desire to protect his king.
It shows Rama's wisdom
It does.
and his ability to see beyond those superficial appearances.
Yes.
And then there's this fantastic image of Hanuman carrying Rama and Lakshmana on his shoulders to meet Sugreeva.
Oh, I love that imagery.
It's like a symbolic representation of their alliance taking flight.
It is, and Kata doesn't just describe this as a casual meeting. There's a whole ritual involved.
Uh-huh.
Hanuman conducts a fire ceremony, solidifying the bond between Rama and Sugreeva.
So it's like a formal agreement.
Yes.
A pact forged in fire.
Yes. It emphasizes the seriousness of their commitment to each other.
Right.
And it also reflects the importance of ritual and ceremony in ancient Indian culture. These acts weren't just symbolic. They were believed to have real power to create a binding connection
I see.
between individuals and also to invoke the blessings of the gods.
So we've got this powerful alliance forming. But Sugriva's not just looking for friendship.
No.
He's desperate to defeat Vali and reclaim his rightful place as king.
Sugriva's story is a reminder that even in these ancient epics,
Right.
personal ambition and the desire for power, they play a huge role.
Of course.
And his plea to Rama is this combination of vulnerability but also strategic calculation.
Right.
He's seeking justice, but he's also using this alliance to achieve his own goals.
So Rama, being the honorable warrior that he is,
Right.
promises to help.
Yeah.
But first, he has to prove his strength.
He does, because Sugriva needs assurance that Rama is powerful enough to defeat Vali.
Yeah.
And he recounts the story of Vali's incredible strength, his ability to defeat the demon Dundubi.
This story is fascinating.
Isn't it?
Vali wears this golden chest pendant that drains his opponent's strength and adds it to his own.
It sounds like something out of a superhero comic.
It really does.
It's a fantastical element, but it speaks to the idea of inherited power, right?
Yeah.
And the advantages that some individuals possess.
Mm-hmm.
But even with that kind of power, Vali isn't invincible.
Right.
There's a curse on him, preventing him from entering a specific forest, and this becomes a crucial detail later on.
Foreshadowing a strategic weakness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to further prove his strength, Rama effortlessly moves Dundubi's bones
What?
and pierces 7 sala trees with a single arrow.
Whoa.
It's this display of superhuman ability that solidifies Sugriva's confidence in their alliance.
So we've got Rama and Sugriva forming this powerful alliance.
Yeah.
But there's another character who enters the scene, and she's pretty remarkable.
Who's that?
Vali's wife, Tara.
Oh, Tara.
Yeah.
She's a fascinating character.
She is.
Wise and insightful. She understands the dynamics of power better than anyone.
She even warns Vali about Sugriva's likely alliance
She does.
with powerful forces.
She's like, hey, don't underestimate your brother. He might have some powerful friends backing him up.
It's good advice.
But Vali, blinded by his arrogance and his overconfidence,
Right.
ignores her warnings.
Classic case of a leader's downfall.
I know.
Surrounded by wise counsel, refuses to listen.
And this is where Kata's storytelling really shines, He's not just recounting this mythical tale.
Right.
He's exploring these universal themes of leadership, power,
Right.
the dangers of arrogance, and these are insights that are just as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago.
It's a good reminder that no matter how powerful we become, we should never underestimate the importance of humility.
Yes.
Listening to wise counsel, staying aware of our own blind spots.
Absolutely. Tara's wisdom and Vali's downfall, they offer valuable lessons for anyone in a position of leadership,
Yes.
whether you're leading a team or a company or even a family.
So Vali ignores Tara's warnings.
Oh.
And what happens next? Things are about to get pretty intense, I'm guessing.
I think so.
We'll to continue our deep dive in part 2 to find out.
Yes. Stay tuned. Picking up where we left off,
Yeah.
the stage is set for this clash between Vali and Sugriva,
Right.
and Rama's caught in the middle of this whole brotherly feud.
It's a tough spot for him.
It is.
He's promised to help Sugriva,
Yeah.
but how can he intervene in a battle between two brothers,
Right.
without creating further conflict?
This is where Kata really explores these ethical dilemmas that are inherent in leadership, these difficult choices one must make.
It makes sense.
And this upcoming battle raises questions about loyalty, justice, and the consequences of our actions.
So how does this whole confrontation play out?
With-
Does Rama just immediately step in and, take sides?
No, not quite.
Okay.
The battle begins
Mm.
with Vali, empowered by his divine pendant,
Right.
gaining the upper hand.
Right, because that pendant
Yes.
draws strength from his opponent.
Exactly.
It's like this unfair advantage in a duel, right?
It is?
Makes you wonder if Vali would have even been so arrogant
Right.
if he didn't have that pendant boosting his confidence.
That's a great point. It makes you think about how these external factors
Yeah.
can influence our behavior and decision-making.
For sure.
But even with that advantage, Vali's downfall ultimately comes from his own choices.
So how does Rama actually get involved in this fight?
Well, Sugreeva, realizing he's losing,
Right.
calls out to Rama for help.
Okay.
And Rama, witnessing the injustice of this whole situation, decides to intervene.
Yeah.
He hides behind a tree and shoots an arrow,
Oh, wow.
fatally wounding Vali.
Hiding behind a tree. That sounds kind of controversial.
It is.
I mean,
yeah.
wouldn't that be considered dishonorable in a warrior's code?
That's exactly what Vali brings up in his dying moments.
Really?
Yeah, he challenges Rama's actions.
Wow.
You know, questioning the righteousness of killing him from a distance
Right.
while he was engaged in a fair fight.
Makes sense.
It's this powerful scene
Yeah.
that forces us to think about morality
Yeah.
and the gray areas of warfare.
So how does Rama justify what he did?
Well, he argues that Vali had violated Dharma, cosmic order,
Right.
by taking over Sugreva's throne
Right.
and taking his wife.
Yeah.
So he sees himself as an upholder of justice, righting a wrong
Okay.
that had gone unpunished.
So it's almost like Rama is acting as a defender
Yeah,
of cosmic order,
exactly.
restoring balance
Yes.
to a situation that was corrupted by Vali's actions.
And Kata doesn't shy away from
Yeah.
presenting these multiple perspectives on the event.
Right.
You know, he lets Vali voice his objections,
Right.
forcing us to consider the validity of his arguments.
It's not so black and white.
It's not. It's this nuanced exploration of moral decision-making,
Yeah.
even in this mythological context.
This whole episode is really making me think about choices,
I know.
you know, as leaders,
Yeah.
and how those choices impact others, even with good intentions. You know,
Sure.
there can be unintended consequences.
This is a timeless lesson that Kata is bringing to life through this epic tale
Right.
and Vali's death. While necessary for restoring Dharma, it's
Yeah.
still a tragedy.
It is.
And it highlights those responsibilities of leadership
Right.
and the difficult choices we have to make.
Speaking of, how does everyone react to Vali's death?
Well, it creates a ripple effect,
Yeah.
impacting everyone around him.
I imagine so.
Sugreeva, even
Yeah.
though he's victorious,
Right.
he's consumed with guilt
It's a lot.
over his brother's death. He even asks Rama if he can just join Vali in death.
Wow, that's intense. He's really overwhelmed with remorse,
He is.
even though he was the one who was wronged.
It speaks to the complexity of their relationship
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
despite the betrayal and the animosity, there's still that bond of brotherhood.
Right.
That's not easily erased.
What about Tara?
Oh.
I can only imagine her grief and anger.
Yeah, as you might expect, Tara is devastated.
Yeah.
And Kata's portrayal of her grief is so moving.
Yeah.
She lashes out at both Rama and Sugreeva,
Wow.
blaming him for her husband's death.
Yeah.
And her words are just raw and powerful, reminding us that even in these epic battles,
Right.
there are these real human emotions at play.
It's a good point. Every action has a consequence, and sometimes those consequences
Right.
are pretty painful.
And far-reaching.
And in the midst of all this grief and turmoil, Hanuman steps forward.
He does.
It's amazing how he always seems to be the voice of reason
Yeah.
and compassion in these really difficult situations.
He embodies that ideal of a selfless leader.
Right.
He's not seeking power or glory for himself.
Right.
He's truly concerned about the well-being of others.
Yeah.
Even those who might be considered his enemies.
He's a great example of servant leadership,
Yes.
putting the needs of others before his own.
And then he shows this incredible foresight
Okay.
by proposing that Angada, Vali's son,
Right.
be named the future king,
Okay.
with Tara as his guide.
Wow, that's brilliant.
It is.
It addresses the immediate need for leadership,
Yes.
but also plans for the long-term future of Kishkinda.
It really is a testament to Hanuman's ability to think beyond the crisis and envision a path toward healing
Yeah.
and reconciliation.
It's interesting how Kata weaves in these leadership lessons
Isn't it?
into the narrative.
Yeah.
We're not just following this thrilling story.
Right.
We're getting insights into the qualities that make effective
Yes.
and ethical leaders.
And Kata doesn't just tell us about these qualities.
Right.
He shows us through the actions
Uh-huh.
and decisions of the characters.
So Vali's gone now. Sugreeva is the rightful king. But there's still this sense of
Yeah.
grief and uncertainty hanging over Kishkinda.
There is. Sugreeva is struggling with guilt.
Right.
Tara is consumed with sorrow.
It makes sense.
They need time to heal and adjust to this new reality.
Even after a victory,
Yes.
there can be this emotional fallout that needs to be addressed.
Exactly. And Rama, being the compassionate leader that he is, understands this. And he allows time for the funeral rites, for Sugriva and Tara to process their grief.
It shows his emotional intelligence.
It does.
And his ability to lead with compassion and understanding.
And during this time, Hanuman's wisdom and leadership, they shine. He suggests that Rama officially crowns Sugriva as king, solidifying his authority and bringing that sense of stability back.
But Rama's still in exile, right?
But he is.
So can he even participate in that kind of official ceremony?
Good point. So Rama delegates the task to Lakshmana, who, with Hanuman's guidance, conducts the coronation ceremony. And then to ensure a smooth transition, Lakshmana, following Rama's instructions, proposes Angada be named the heir apparent.
So they're really laying the foundation.
They are.
For a more stable Kishkinda.
Yes.
Honoring Vali's legacy, but also looking to the future.
And it's through these thoughtful actions that trust is rebuilt. Not just between Rama and Sugriva, but also between the Vanaras themselves.
This episode has been a roller coaster.
It has.
A dramatic battle. A tragic death.
Mm.
And this fragile peace emerging from conflict.
Yes.
So what happens next in this saga?
Well, with Sugriva now secure on the throne, and this alliance strengthened, the stage is set for that next phase. The search for Sita.
I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
Me too.
It sounds like the adventure's about to get even more intense.
It does.
Okay, so we left off with Sugriva securely on the throne. The Vanar army all ready to go, ready to search for Sita. But there's a twist coming, isn't there?
There is, you see, with the kingship all settled and the threat of Vali gone. Sugriva kind of seems to forget his promise to Rama. He gets caught up in all the pleasures of his newfound power.
Well, it's understandable, isn't it? After all that struggle and fear, he finally gets to relax and enjoy being king.
Understandable, but also a mistake. Kata portrays this shift in Sugriva's behavior. Not as like malice or anything, but as this kind of intoxicated negligence. He's enjoying these feasts, the entertainment, and the urgency of Rama's mission just fades away.
So Rama is waiting patiently. But the monsoon season ends. Still no sign of action from Sugriva.
And as that Sharad season arrives, a time associated with love and longing. Rama's anxiety just grows.
I bet.
The season of romance. And he's without Sita. The beauty of the season only makes his pain and frustration worse.
So he's given Sugriva time to grieve. Time to settle into the kingship. But now action is needed. So he sends Lakshmana to Kishkinda to give Sugriva a nudge.
But knowing Lakshmana, I doubt it was very gentle.
Lakshmana, always that fiery and loyal brother, furious with Sugriva's inaction. He arrives in Kishkinda like a storm.
He does.
So what does he do?
Well,
does he threaten Sugriva?
He does more than threaten. He suggests they just remove Sugriva as king.
Wow.
They'll proceed with the search with or without him.
That's a bold move.
It is.
Lakshmana clearly not afraid to speak his mind, even to a king.
It shows how much he cares for Rama and how frustrated he is with these delays.
It's a rash move, though.
It is. It could have backfired. But luckily, Rama intervenes.
Rama, always the voice of reason. So Rama calms Lakshmana down. But he understands action is needed. So what does he do?
Well, he sends Lakshmana back, but this time with a mission to confront Sugriva directly and remind him of his promise.
Interesting that it's Lakshmana and not Rama himself going to confront Sugriva.
It's subtle but important because by sending Lakshmana, Rama avoids a direct conflict, which could have damaged their alliance.
So it's strategic.
Very.
So Lakshmana arrives back in Kishkinda. How does Sugriva react this time?
Initially, he tries to deflect blame. You know, pointing to the monsoon season as the reason for the delay.
But Lakshmana's not buying it.
Not at all.
What happens?
He gives Sugriva the scathing rebuke, reminding him of his promise and Rama's suffering.
Do you think Sugriva was really remorseful?
I think so.
Or just scared?
Kata portrays Sugriva as ashamed and remorseful. He's jolted out of his complacency, by Lakshmana's words, and he realizes he made a mistake. He admits he let himself get distracted.
It's easy to do.
Yeah.
Get sidetracked by power and comfort.
It
Takes strength to admit those mistakes
It does.
and recommit to your promises.
And Sugreeva steps up.
He does.
He takes responsibility,
Good.
expresses his remorse, and renews that commitment to helping Rama.
Okay, so the alliance is back on track.
It is?
The search for Sita can finally begin.
Yes. Sugreeva rallies the Vanara army,
Okay.
organizes them into search parties,
Mm.
sends them out in all directions.
Wow, it's a big undertaking.
It is.
It's interesting how Kata contrasts Sugriva's initial negligence
Right.
with this decisive action.
Yeah, it shows he's capable of both.
He's complex,
He is.
just like all of us.
And that's what makes these characters so compelling.
Yeah,
They're not perfect.
Right.
They're flawed.
they make mistakes.
Yeah, but they can also grow and redeem themselves.
Right, and that's a message that really resonates, I think.
It does.
So as Chapter 4 closes,
Mm-hmm.
we're left with this sense of anticipation,
Yes.
a renewed commitment to the mission.
The stage is set for the next part of the journey.
It is.
The Vanaras are ready.
They are.
Determined to find Sita.
And Rama.
He's still burdened by grief,
Of course.
but also filled with this renewed hope.
So listeners, we'll have to wait until our next deep dives
Yeah.
to find out what happens next.
We will.
But in the meantime,
yes.
think about the lessons we've uncovered in this chapter.
Think about the dangers of complacency,
Right?
the importance of accountability,
Mm.
and that power of redemption.
They're timeless themes
They are.
that resonate with all of us,
They do.
reminding us that even when we stumble,
Yeah.
we can course correct
Yes.
and recommit to what matters.
exactly.
Thanks for joining us on this epic adventure.
Yes, thank you.
Until next time, keep exploring
Keep learning.
and keep seeking that deeper meaning
Yes.
in the stories that shape our world.